everybody. Um, we'll start the meeting as always with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join me, and we'll give it another good try to see if we can get it right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, that went better than it has gone the past few times. Thanks everybody for being here. I start off by reading a notice as we're having this as a remote meeting. And due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are A, providing the public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing the Zoom platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Zoom platform, and the public has access contemporaneously to listen and, if necessary, participate. We are on Zoom this evening, and the access code for our meeting is 926-3712-9750. We are providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. That was on the notice that was posted on the town website. And lastly, there's a mechanism for the public to alert the meeting if there are problems with being able to access it. If that's the case, members of the public can call 602-292-1221 to let us know that there's difficulties accessing the meeting. In the event that the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn and reschedule. Please note that all votes are to be taken by roll call vote during this meeting. So also in accordance with the way this needs to work, we'll start with roll call attendance. When I call your name, please confirm either that you're by yourself, or if there's anybody else in the room with you, please identify them as required under the right to know law. I'll go in order of how everybody appears on my screen. Roger?
Here alone.
Joe?
Here alone.
Eric?
Here alone.
Mike Kennison?
Here alone.
Jeff?
Here and alone.
Mike LaBranch?
Here and alone.
Rob?
I'm here and alone.
John?
Here and alone.
Town manager, Steve, or
Here and alone.
Matt?
Here and alone.
Councilor Weinstein?
I'm just the public tonight.
Okay, but I do think you have to at least let us know whether you're alone.
Actually, you don't, Dan. Only
Okay.
the people who voting have to. So, like, I don't have to do it.
Okay, all right, well, that's good to know. Thank you, Steve. Councilor Dumont?
I am here, and I'm having trouble with my computer, so I don't have any video right now. I'm off my phone, and I am alone in my office, just so you're aware.
Thank you. All right, so with that, all the administrative business taken care of. First on the agenda, we'll quickly get this out of the way. Approving the minutes of the October 26th meeting, which were circulated to everybody in advance. Did anybody note anything in the minutes that requires editing or additions or any issues with that? I'm not hearing anything from the committee, so I Eric's cat making an appearance. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 26th meeting? Somebody needs to go off mute.
I
And
so move.
thank you, Roger. Second.
I second.
Thank you, Joe. We'll do a roll call vote. Roger,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Mike Kennison.
I abstain. I wasn't there.
Thank you, Jeff.
Aye.
Mike LeBranch,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
John. You'll need to abstain because you didn't become part of the committee until after the meeting. Matt,
Aye.
Zach, I don't know if you're talking. We can't hear you.
Abstain.
Thank you. I vote aye, so we are 9 yes and 2 abstentions to approve the minutes of the October 26th meeting. Wonderful. So, new business. This is our working session for the fiscal year 2021-2022 town budget. So, I'd like to ask the town manager, Steve Fournier, to take the floor. And if you have any prepared comments or your presentation on the town budget, take it away.
I do, and I'll start it. I hope. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to, again, this is the proposed operating budget as approved by the town council. By town charter, the council has to submit to the municipal budget committee by November 15th, a proposed operating budget. When I usually get into this, I like to start off by showing some economic indicators. So the first slide that we have is a slide of the consumer price index, or what was the increase in goods over the past year. So in the United States, the consumer price index went from 1.3% to 1%. Northeast regional, it stayed at 1.1, and the increase was only 0.8% increase in the CPI for the Boston region, which we are a part of. The next item is our unemployment rate, which, as you can probably imagine, with the pandemic, was quite shocking in July. So in 2019, the unemployment rate was 7 in the United States. It was 10.5% in July, at 2.4 in the state, and at 7.9 in July. The county was 2.7. It was at 8.4. Portsmouth Metro was 2.2, and then it was 7.4. And Newmarket itself was 2.6. And in 2020, it was 7.6. These numbers have been dropping, but we are not seeing the levels as we saw in the past. The next thing is the current tax rate, which was set a few weeks ago. As you can see, the current tax rate, as the bills that you received is $25.46 per thousand. What we're discussing here is this 24%. So the town is $6.01. The school is a total of 73% of it, with 65% going to local schools for $16.50, and the state school at $2.04 or 8%. That's kind of a state school because we don't send the money to the state and get it back. We just keep it, collect it, and keep it. And finally is our contribution to the county, which is 91 cents or 3% of the tax rate. And here's just a 5-year comparison. As you can see, the town remained pretty flat. We had a dip last year with the reval, but it's still around that ballpark figure. And if you're going to look at this, you also have to look at what the assessed value of the town is. For 2020, the assessed value of the town is $981,517,373. So what that means is for every dollar on the tax rate, we can raise $981,517. So that's how we determine the tax rate. So finally, the bottom line budget. The town council is recommending a bottom line budget of $13,729,433, or 3.37% increase. The increase is going $93,553 to the enterprise funds, $278,448 to the general fund, and $124,264 to the special revenue funds. And again, expenditures by fund, the general fund, the council is recommending $8,769,002, $1,449,315 in special revenue, and the enterprise funds is $3,510,826. So where's the increase going? About $20,000 that's going to be going to health insurance increases. $33,000 is for New Hampshire retirement contributions. $78,000 was the police salaries contractual obligation for the collective bargaining agreement. We have $10,000 increase in Department of Public Works overtime. $26,062 for fire part-time salaries. And here are the big ones. The recycling contract, we're estimating a $70,000 increase, and also a $35,000 increase in the disposal for solid waste, as well as construction debris of $19,000. We're seeing everybody's seeing a large increase in those costs across the board. So that's our main increase there. And here's our traditional contribution to capital reserve funds. The only difference between the one that I proposed and the town council is that the town council increased road improvement to $250,000. The reasoning for that was oil prices are still historically low. So the more money you put in now, the more roads you can get done. And they determined to increase that to level fund it. But over 7% decrease in contribution to the capital reserve funds. Now here's the big one, is the revenue budget. We're anticipating a revenue budget of about $7.5 million total. That, while it's going up, it's also being used some of our fund balance. We do have enough fund balance to use. We're on the flip side, though, is that we're anticipating significant revenue losses from the state. We did not see them this year because a lot of the money we get is actually a year back. But for example, we're anticipating a 20% drop in our room and meals tax share, about the same in the highway grant, which is the road tolls, because nobody was driving for 6 months this year, as well as other revenues that we share with the state. So finally, if the budget were to pass, this is just an estimate. We'd anticipate a tax rate of $6.50 per thousand. That's still an estimate, but that's where we were. It'd be about an 18-cent increase. But again, this is all estimate because we figure out revenues and shared revenues may change between now and the time of tax rate setting, which would be a year from now. And finally, we are having, and it depends on the council approves it, a potential. We were informed recently by the state revolving loan fund that we've been approved for a $1 million loan with 10% forgiveness to replace stormwater lines on New Road. This would be improved drainage for the bowl area. If you remember correctly, during the Mother's Day floods, that was a large issue, and it still could be because the water, while it's draining in that area, it needs to get out to the river. So we need to increase the stormwater system along New Road, and it's been a long-term goal of town. The reason why we're doing it, we would like to do it now, is because we're already going to be opening the road to improve the water lines. So instead of opening up what I always say is you don't want to open up the patient twice, you'd rather do it once. We'd like to roll this in to see what savings we could get to do this as well. The council has not adopted this yet. It is on their agenda for Wednesday night for a first reading, but if it's approved, the budget committee would see that in January. And that is all I have for my presentation.
So Steve, if they decide to do the bond, what kind of term and amortization would we be thinking about for the bonds we float?
It's a 20-year bond. Well, actually, it's a loan. It's from the revolving loan fund. We don't have the figures yet. We're still working on them. For like the impact and everything. We literally found out within like a week or so. And with the holiday last week, we just couldn't get the figures.
Would the forgiveness come over time or on the
Nope.
back end,
It's
front end?
front end.
Front end. All right, so you're talking like amortizing 900,000
Correct.
over 20 years. It's going to hit us probably 50-60,000 a year, give or
Right.
take. Okay.
And remember, our bonds have been dropping for the other projects we have in town. So
Okay. All right, just trying to get the rough idea in my head what we're talking about.
And one thing I'd like to ask is that, since we are going to have to be meeting this way, I don't think it's easy to have like all the department heads come in for a meeting. My thought would be is if we could figure out what are the big questions and I can either get them answered or we could have that department head come in. I think it's easier for everybody in that situation.
Probably. Since we've got a few new members on the committee, I was wondering if you would maybe take a couple of minutes and just like the quick version of how the math works here, because I know it took me a few years to really get my head around it. That you've got expenditures, you've got non-appropriate revenue, and then from that it drives appropriation revenue. You've got the enterprise funds that play a role. Could you just give
Sure.
everybody kind of the quick overview of how the math works to go from the expenditure budget down to the tax rate?
Yep. So what we do is we take the total expenditure budget and back out by what we do is we add overlay, which is what we use for funds to grant abatements that we have to have in there. So that's additional cost. Then we also add war service credits. So we have various veterans exemptions that people have. So we estimate that about 160,000. So then you back out the revenue estimates. So you have a total for a net town appropriation of about $6.4 million. Then you multiply that by the 981 million, divided by 1,000, and you get the tax rate. As you just mentioned, the enterprise fund and the special revenue funds, those are funded not through taxation completely. Enterprise funds are completely by water and sewer rates. Special revenue funds are funded either, for example, the recreation revolving fund for the fees that we charge for the programming, or solid waste, the bags that you pay for, subsidize it with some tax dollars. The other one, since the council has no authority over anything but the bottom line, we include the library in the special revenue funds, since it's a one-time payment just to them.
Okay. Yeah, that was something it caught my eye when I was going through this, that it looks, maybe I'm just not seeing the picture completely, but it looks like that subsidization of water, sewer, and the special revenue funds coming out of tax might be a little higher this year than what we've seen in past years.
No, we do not subsidize water and sewer with taxation. That's completely for ratepayers. So that's not there. The solid waste, we're going to be looking at a bag increase. We're going to have to do it.
Okay.
As for recreation, that is a 1-to-1.
Yeah.
With programming last year, there wasn't any because of the pandemic. We're running this as if we're going to have a normal program next year. But if nothing happens, we don't expend it, we don't raise it.
So just help me then quickly understand the council's proposed budget. You've got 3.51 million spend on water and wastewater. The rest of look like 3.2 million.
They have their own capital reserve funds where they will be withdrawing from.
All right, so the other 300,000 is coming out of cap reserve. Okay, good, thank you. Questions from the committee for Steve? Mike.
Steve.
Hey, Mike.
Steve, how are you?
Good.
Question on your figures that you gave for proposed tax rate. I believe you said it was around 651.
About 650. Yep.
650. Okay. Isn't this the tax rate right now, isn't that at 601?
It is. I've got to double check that figure. I've got to check with finance. I want to make sure I use the number on your budget. That's why I use that. But this was set before. I didn't want to have a different number from what the documents we gave you from the tax rate setting. So I'm gonna revise that and get you a new number for there.
Okay, so the increase could conceivably be
Drop.
more than 18 cents.
It could actually drop. That's what I want to double check with one thing.
Okay, all right, thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Joe?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the fund balance? You had proposed 548,000, the town council did 598. Is that the money that's coming back from the school or coming back from the school?
No, fund balance is it's not a tangible amount of money. It's not a bank account with a certain amount of money. What we have to do by recommendation from the DRA and the GFOA is keep between 5% and 10% of our undesignated fund balance on the books. We are currently at about 8%. By using this money, we'd drop down to probably about a little bit around 6, but we're still healthy. And it's exactly that for the reason what we're doing it is when there's a shortage of revenues because of a catastrophic issue, we try to offset it by using this. A lot of communities you hear them say buy down their tax rate. That's not a good financial policy because one year you buy it down, the next year you may not have the fund balance to do it. So you artificially deflate the tax rate. So what we do is we try to match the numbers there with our contributions to capital reserve funds. Because if we don't have the money, then we don't contribute as much to capital reserves.
Where is the money that the school returned?
That is in the tax rate. Their increase would have been higher than it was on the tax rate that we just set. But they returned the funds and that's just booked against it. It doesn't come to the town as cash.
Over in the school budget side, we would see.
It's in the tax rate setting side. It's already been set.
The tax rate of the school tax rate.
So, okay, let me say this again. It's not in the budget. It's not in this portion. It's in our tax rate setting documents. When we go to set the tax rate, they indicate to us that the school was expended by X amount of money. They then take that portion and reduce it from what we have to raise to pay for that as a revenue. So we see it, you've already seen that in your tax rate.
Okay, I'm still a little confused. I'm sorry, but
it's okay. No, it's not an easy thing. But yes, it's not, we don't receive a check or money handed over. It's a situation where we do that in the tax rate setting portion.
Okay.
Steve, to clarify, that would be seen by taxpayers when they got their most recent tax bills?
Exactly.
Other questions?
I have more questions.
Okay.
Okay, I have a bunch of questions. I'll send them over as a text document or whatever, but I do have a couple. On the recycling and whatever, would it be cheaper to, may not be politically wise, it'd be cheaper to stop recycling and just treat that as trash? And
I mentioned that to the council. You're right. It's not a good social policy to do that. Sometimes good social policy does cost in the long run.
Okay, and does the library, do they report to you?
They report to a board of trustees that is appointed by the town council.
They have a really large $126,000 for part-time employees. Do you have any control over that, or
I do not.
Okay. All right. I'll say I have a bunch of other questions I'll send over. Okay.
Roger?
I couldn't find anywhere that you gave the detail of the revenue lines. I know that exists because I've seen it in the financial report for 2020.
I will get that for you.
Thanks. I'll jump in with one that as I looked through the different the buildup of this, which by the way, the buildup, the detail in this on the expenditure side is fantastic. I really appreciate having the, being able to see it broken out. Is there any sense that you have, or that the department heads have, that we're rolling the dice a little bit on getting a warmer than normal winter, or less precip than normal? Because there were a few things that caught my eye. The public works overtime, the winter salt, diesel fuel for public works vehicles. Again, it looks like we budgeted more to 2020's actual spend than to what the department heads had thought. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you on that. I'm wondering, because 2020 was both an abnormally warm year and abnormally little snow.
But
And that may just be the way things go heretofore with the climate changing, but I'm wondering if we're rolling the dice a little on that.
so I look at the past 5 years history when I do that. It's not one of those, I just look at the previous years. And yeah, we had a couple years that you had the opposite. You had blizzards. You had the year of like 2 or 3 blizzards. But actually, that doesn't cost as much as ice. Ice is our #1 cost when it comes to winter precipitation, because you have to be out there continuously treating it. Whereas snow events, it's usually one and done, or one a couple times and done. Historically, we're that we put in there. Of course, it's always a situation where the department heads have one budget, I have another, the council is a third. We try to find the happy medium. If it goes over budget, we reduce expenditures in other areas.
Okay. Roger?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One has to do with overtime.
Can I put this out there first? From my emails from the chair, I was anticipating this to be more of a presentation, and then we have the work session later. So I may not have all the answers right now. So that's why I was, when I saw the agenda and had questions on there, I was taken aback, because when I saw the schedule that we were presenting it tonight and then having discussion at another meeting.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, Steve, if there's stuff you're not prepared to
Yep.
answer, then just let us know, and we'll get it over in an email form.
Thank you.
Could the chair please tell us when that review meeting is?
I don't actually, I mean, our next scheduled thing for the town is the hearing.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's on the 14th of December. We have the presentation
why-
tonight, and then 2 weeks.
Okay. I must have misread then. I'll try to get the info.
Do you not want questions
No,
then?
I can ask them. No, I'll try to answer them.
Okay. First of all, on overtime, I understand the increase in police salaries, contract plus the addition of a new patrolman. But I don't understand, with the addition of a new patrolman, why overtime increases.
I will get that question.
Secondly, on fire, I do not understand why, with addition of a number of part-time positions, which I fully understand the reasoning behind them, again, overtime is increasing. And I don't understand that, because you're having more paid manpower. It doesn't seem like overtime should be increasing. It seems like it should offset.
Well, I'll get those numbers.
Okay. Second issue is we entered into an energy audit contract, and it's supposed to reduce our energy costs, and yet almost all the energy lines are increasing, and some very, very significantly. So it either says that the audit didn't work, the program didn't work, and we should get a refund from what we paid, since I thought there
I'm gonna stop you there, because it did work. I don't like the accusatory. We've done an audit. Yeah, you're going to see some increases in items, but you're also going to see the reasoning is we have to still pay for those items. I will get a presentation that we've made to the Energy Committee to you for information to show the actual savings that we've made.
But the budget does not reflect those savings.
The budget would be probably going up higher if it wasn't for the savings. It's not always a negative when we do these things. We're also trying to stop the expenditures from going higher.
Energy costs today are less than they were 2 years ago, and yet our energy cost hasn't gone down for heating the town hall.
I will get that information.
Right. Other questions? All right,
Jeff.
Jeff?
I was going to let everybody take a crack at it first.
Mhm.
So, Steve, I have a few you might know, you might not know.
Yep.
Water chemicals this time look like they doubled for 2022. Is that another thing coming online again?
It is, and I'll get that specific information.
Okay, I figured it was. I just wanted to
Yep.
see what.
I can help you out there, Steve. I know that they're going to bring online the filtration for arsenic, and that's primarily what that additional cost is.
Okay.
Thank you, Roger. Another one, smaller, 20K increase for a police equipment lease. Do you know what equipment?
Cameras.
Cameras, okay. And last one, there's a 8K increase in planning contracted services line that I was interested in.
Yeah, we're actually trying to get more stuff done with not having to hire additional help. So we're going to be contracting some of the services out to assist with the master plan, some redoing of the ordinances. One of the things that you may have seen was the updates we need to do for some of the ideas for the gateways for economic development. Just need some additional assistance, and that's why that's going to be there.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Roger?
Steve, help me out on the enterprise funds for water and sewer. Water seems to have a considerably higher than expenses.
Yep.
But sewer has a considerably higher expense than revenue. Shouldn't the rates be set according to the costs?
We have been working with DRA. I agree with you, and we're trying to clear that up. But that is it's nothing bad, nothing to be in our audits. We just want to make sure we're doing some of the correct. You're correct. It should be equal to 1-to-1. But it's been that way for a number of years. It's not as if I don't want to think there's a huge capital reserve fund somewhere with all this money we're getting from water. Or there's a shortage in sewer. We're just trying to get that accounting corrected. So I'll get that information from the finance director.
The assumption I was under is that if revenues are deficient, as in wastewater, that money comes out of their capital reserves, but they've
Exactly.
been
Their fund
deficient.
balance.
Yeah, they've been deficient for some period of time. So I'm wondering if that fund balance is adequate.
No, I'll look at the fund balance for special revenues for you as well.
Thank you.
In general, Steve, and I don't know if you know the answer to this off the top of your head, I mean, my is the only thing I can comment on authoritatively. I have both town water and town sewer, so therefore I pay both. Is there a significant portion of the town that is on town water but not on town sewer, or?
There is some, I wouldn't say significant. Usually goes 1-to-1.
Okay.
I mean, there's some, but it's not. I wouldn't say significant.
Okay, so there's some element of, okay, well, one pocket to the other, but
Right.
but it's not perfectly 1-to-1.
Correct. I'll get those
Okay.
figures from the water and sewer.
Okay.
Sean indicated to me that it was somewhere around 75%
Yeah.
of the water users are sewer also,
Okay.
and about 25% are just only water.
All right. Other questions? I'm looking for hands waving. I'm not. Oh, Mike.
Yeah, just more of a comment, Dan. I'm sure Steve would have appreciated these questions in advance. It makes it easier to get us all answers. So since he's the sacrificial lamb for this meeting, for the next one, for the school, I think Susan, Dr. Gibbons' request could come up with questions ahead of time. You know, stuff always comes to our mind during meetings too, so that's fine as well. But you'll probably get better answers because there's time to prepare for it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
got a crap
Yeah.
load for the school, I can tell you that.
Yep.
Yeah, so on that note, I guess while we have a moment, so I mean, I absolutely will. It's no offense to me if everyone wants to email Steve and Dr. Givens, Bill Tappan, Jana Mellon. If you want to email people directly, go ahead, but just copy myself on it so that I'm aware of it and can, you know, and can make sure that it comes up on when we get into the actual meeting.
And I would prefer that I get the email and I'll hand that out to the department heads to get the answers.
Yeah.
Sometimes the department heads, you know, it may be between a few of them, but we like to get the right answers. So
Yeah, good. Actually, a good point. I mean, I threw Bill and Jana out there just because we all know them and work with them. I wouldn't encourage people to email Rick Molaski directly, for instance, or the elementary school principal directly. That's, you know, not really something we should do. Roger?
Uh, can we email the committee our questions?
you,
I don't see why not.
you probably should. Just don't have a conversation during it.
Understand.
Okay.
Mike LaBranch?
Yeah, Steve, I just wanted to trace back a little bit with the utilizing fund balance or monies that are left over. I know you mentioned the school sent back some funds to help
Mhm.
pay down the tax rate. Was that was roughly 900 and something thousand, was it?
About that.
So if the school has a fund balance, it basically goes towards their section of the tax rate. If the town had some fund balance, it would go to the town rate, correct?
We actually do it, we do put it towards the town rate, but because we're the entity that collects the money, we have to make sure we have enough fund balance to cover the county, the school, and the town's portion of the rate. So when I say the 10%, 5 to 10%, I'm not saying of just the towns. I'm saying the gross appropriation of what the town needs to raise. So that does include the school and the county's contribution.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Hey, other things, Steve, and this is definitely a crystal ball kind of question, so not obviously can't hold you to it. So it looks like the department heads were pretty bearish on what money we'd get from the state for the fiscal year 2022. They were a little under $500,000, and then your budget and the council approved it, kind of upped that back up to about 600,000, which is still below what we have in the current year. But you know, what's sort of there seems to be a bit more optimism there. What went into the thinking on that point?
The timing between when the department heads made their budget, it was still July, August, which we didn't have a lot of the state revenues figures in. We got more accurate ones when we proposed, I proposed to the council and then proposed it forward to you guys.
Okay.
Just, yeah, I can tell you that in July, August, we were still sitting there not knowing, exactly how much the governor was going to reduce his budget or his recommendations for department heads. And we were just getting nervous as well.
Is there any guidance or thought pieces or anything you've read out there how quickly people think the economic activity might start to come back? If
I mean, from my understanding, again, we anticipated a much worse situation when the pandemic hit in February. I mean, there was a reason why we stopped spending that we didn't think people were going to be able to pay the taxes, or people weren't going to be able to register their vehicles because there's just no money. That didn't come to fruition because of the stimulus packages that we got from the feds. Now that we're more familiar with what the situation with the pandemic is, I don't think it's as grave as we thought back then, but they're still anticipating not till late 2022 to see some kind of return to some, not I don't want to say normalcy, but a better than where we are. You know, again, New Hampshire makes their money besides property taxes off of room and meals, gas, and liquor. Liquor sales are up. Gas.
Such a rosy picture we have in this state.
but room and meals and gas taxes are not. I mean, that's just the fact. People haven't been doing those two things, tourism and driving. Based revenues, so we just don't have those.
Okay.
Steve, Rob here with a quick question, just relative to COVID and the money that you spent. How did your expenditures compare, or more so the collection of the money you expected from the state and the feds? How did what you actually got compare to what you've budgeted for last year? Can you just bring us up to date on where you stand for that?
I guess I need clarification. Are you asking what we received in the CARES money? Or are you asking our revenues from the state in general?
No, so the government money from CARES or whatever came through the state, the feds, what you expected versus what you're getting or think you're going to get.
We don't know if we're going to get anything else. It's the politics everyone's been hearing in DC, but they haven't approved any more stimulus packages. So I'm not anticipating anything more. And if it does, I don't know how much of it's going to go to local government. If it does, it could be another situation, much like during the Great Recession. And if we have, if we get through this, that it may stimulus packages to help kickstart the economy by doing projects. If everybody remembers the Tiger grants during the Great Recession, that they had anybody who was shovel ready for projects come forward, we'll give you money and then get the economy going. As for revenues from the state, how much we spent, almost to the dollar, we've spent it. We've been assisting, we assisted the school. They were short because they were denied some funds from FEMA. But we had some money that we could kick over to them. Ultimately, we know we're in the same pocket, so we might as well help them. We're still submitting items because there was two sets of funds. There was the Gopher money, which is the governor's office. I don't remember the whole acronym, but there's also FEMA money. FEMA money is for police and fire, and we're still going through that process. They'll reimburse us for our costs there. But the Gopher was a grant that we received, and we had to submit for reimbursement.
So the potential surprise for revenues or grants is more so with the unknown of state revenues that then flow through towns and municipalities. And if there's any surprise relative to additional grants, it would likely be a positive.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
My other that back in May, if the markets would have tanked, our retirement contributions would have skyrocketed. And that's one thing that we did not see. The return, there's still a huge difference on the retirement of unfunded liabilities that they have, but we did not see a huge decrease on their side. So that was one of my concerns as well.
Steve, speaking of revenues, are you seeing any recent trend in delinquent property taxes?
We are not.
Oh, excellent.
We're not. We're doing quite well. Yeah, that was one of the things we were concerned about, was delinquent property taxes because of this, and most people have paid right on time.
Excellent.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Other questions for Steve? Roger?
Yeah, Steve, is the 981 million the current valuation of the town as
It
set
is.
by the ERA?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions, Steve?
I will
Going-
get these, the ones I think I've gotten from tonight, and then if you want to email me some more, we'll get that information for you.
Thank you, Steve. All right, everybody. The only thing that remains on our agenda is any other business. Again, as Mike pointed out earlier, I'll just say, please, additional questions for Steve or questions that we would like the superintendent then to be prepared to answer next Monday night. Please email them, copy myself, or you probably best to just copy the normal distribution list that we use for these meetings, and we'll make the next one more productive. Any other business anybody would like to raise? I'm seeing head shaking, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you, Roger.
Second,
Thank you, Joe. We'll do a roll call vote. Roger,
Aye.
Joe,
aye.
Mike Kennison,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Mike LeBranch,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are unanimous and we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.